Going back up again.
Quick summary, kind of like what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
What brought you here? What was your previous experience with the adjustable bushings?
Yep.
And with that. Good?
Yep, all good.
Let me stand on this side a little bit.
Yeah, whatever you want.
All right, we are here today at 714 Tires with Mike Young from digitalnomad.net.
Hello.
And Mike has recently installed our n2itive control arms in his Model X.
Yep.
And Mike, tell us a little bit about your experience. What brought you to, how did you find us, and what brought you to install them?
All right, it's a little bit of a journey, I suppose, but I'm a Model X owner, original owner. It's got 100 and almost 60,000 miles on it of me driving it alone. And early on, I noticed an issue with vibration in the front driveline. And Tesla told me, as they told everyone else, to keep the suspension on low or very low to reduce or eliminate the vibration. It does work. It's the only way, because you can't keep it in normal, as I found after replacing the drive shafts a few times. And thankfully, Tesla paid for that, but there's no permanent solution. So driving on low or very low works, but it also eats up the rear tires. So I looked for a solution on that, found one originally. Unfortunately, it only worked for a month or two. I say within 3 months, it was catastrophic failure of the new control arms that were put on, which were not Tesla. So I took it back to Tesla. They put everything back to factory specs, and I figured, well, I guess I'm stuck with it like that until I found out about your parts that you designed. They're much better quality. They're much stronger. They're a better fitment too, so you don't need to modify the castings on the rear suspension, or actually the rear mounting points for the suspension. And everything looks better on them. So that's what really got me to this point, is that it looked like a real solution to the problem. And I'm excited about that.
All right, so we're going to watch 714 Tires do the alignment.
Yes.
And we'll be back.
All right. Car's going up. All right, so we're getting ready to do the alignment. Now they got everything mounted on here.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit of your experience with your acceleration shutter problem, and what you've done to try to resolve it, working with Tesla and whatnot.
Okay, well, the acceleration shutter problem, the only thing that Tesla has ever done, which is very generous, is replace the drive shafts there in the front. So unfortunately, it's not addressing the root cause of the problem, as I've determined through having it done twice and using the new parts that they designed. At one point they told me it was in engineering, and it wasn't engineering. They had to design some new clevis pins for the front, some new axle shafts, and I had all those put on, and still the same result, unfortunately. So just through process of elimination and my own just general knowledge of driving the car for 150,000 miles, it was obvious to me that there's something wrong with the angles of these drive shafts, right? So the minute I step on the accelerator hard and I'm at a high position, I feel a vibration. And I did shortly after I had the most recently engineered parts put on. But if I lower it down to low or very low, that vibration goes away, even with worn axle shaft parts. But if I was to get new axle shaft parts put on now, I could drive it in very high for a period of time before they wore down and end up being in the same position now. So the only solution is to keep it low all the time.
Mm-hmm. And so then what is the problem with just setting your suspension to low and driving it in a low position? As
I found, I've learned about alignments, there's no adjustment in the rear camber, and the rear camber is set to negative even in the normal position. So when you have negative camber, it's not adjustable, and then you lower it even more, typically the wheel might be out a little bit like this, angled instead of straight up and down. Negative camber is a little bit of angled out, so you can't see the wear on the inner tire edge. But then when you drop the suspension, it goes even more cambered out. So you basically eat up the insides of your tires in the back. You don't get the rated life out of your tires, and potentially, if you're not looking and crawling under the car and looking at the inside of your edge, you will blow out a tire, and you won't even know why.
Yeah, I've done that exact thing. Is when I first got my S years ago, I noticed that the air would slowly start coming out of the tires, and I would just refill it, and the tires looked fine, but it wasn't until it got really bad that I got down and looked at the very inside edge of that tire, and it was so so worn out. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't believe I've been driving at highway speeds
Right.
with the tires the way they were. So I mean, and that's how I came up with these arms. Is I started looking into it and saying
Glad you
that
did.
even when you have the toe set correctly, you can't adjust the camber, and if the camber is negative 1.5 or more, you're definitely going to be getting some serious inner tire wear there.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer too, but all the stress that's on that inner edge may cause it to fail just because of the stress. Forget the wear part, but I'm not an engineer. But again, something I thought about, probably heats that up and puts a tremendous amount of weight on that edge to wear it down like that.
Yeah. So cool. So we got his arms on here now, and we actually had it aligned before. And Mike's been driving it. How many miles you put on it so far?
I'm guessing maybe 1,500 miles since we.
Okay, so he's got 1,500 miles on the new arms. He's already gone off-roading with them in Death Valley.
Unintentionally, but it did work out that way, and everything's good. Everything's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, because the previous solution I had definitely was not designed for strength, at least not normal types of driving strength. And Don's design n2itive design is much better. Like orders of magnitude better, in my opinion.
Oh, nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for now. So we've got some new lowering links coming out. They're called the RSX1 lowering links, and here's a prototype. The final version is being laser etched and built right now. Should be ready in a couple weeks. And it is the most accurate lowering link that you can buy. There's no marks on this right now, but on the production ones, there's going to be laser etched marks here and on the sleeve here, so you can literally just dial in the sleeve to the setting that you want, and you can match it on all four, and your car will sit at that exact level. You don't have to go back and measure it with caliper or anything else. It'll just line up just right. And you lock it in place with that little set screw right there. So you can see that. And that's it.
Yeah, and then I was questioning, we were talking about this earlier, I was like, well, do I need these? I'm not sure if I need them now, because I realized that Tesla has a function where you can lock your suspension in low all the time. And if you don't use it, then you have to reset and lower your suspension every time you drive the car, because it'll reset to normal. But it's preferred to be in very low. I think that's going to be the most, you're going to get the most wear out of your driveline, the least amount of vibration or none. So in order to do that, you have to have this. Unless you're going to remember to drop your suspension every time, which nobody does. I don't care if you say you will. I'm very good at things. I couldn't do it. On this trip we've been taking, I was like, fine, I just locked it in low until these are available. And once these are coming out, I'm putting it right on my car to solve that problem.
Yeah, so you can, Mike's talking about the acceleration issue with Tesla. So you can drop it into low, and that will definitely help with the acceleration shutter, but really you need to get a little bit lower than that. And you can't, in the software settings, it's going to kick you out if you try to stay in very low all the time.
Yep.
So the lowering links kind of fool the sensor, and you can just keep it in low, and you'll be fine.
And the tire wear too. I mean, there's obviously a function of tire wear. If you're down at the lowest setting as well, I think that it'll help with the tire wear once it's aligned properly as well, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, so. Absolutely. So, and that brings up another good point. When you do align your car, so if you're going to get the combination of the control arm, so you got the SX1 camber arm, the TS1 toe arm, and then the lowering links, you want to set the car at the ride height that you're planning to drive on a regular basis, right. And then you do your alignment. That way everything gets dialed in exactly how you're going to be driving, 90% of the time. It doesn't have to be, 100% of the time, but most of the time that you're driving.
And that's what mine is now. We made sure it was down in the very low setting, and that's how it's being aligned right now, so that'll make sure the tire wear is good, grip's good, and it works right.
Right, so then when Mike puts on the lowering links, he can just come back up to the low setting, and his alignment will be just fine. Yep. So otherwise, how do we just start from scratch? If we had these links to begin with, then we could have installed the links first, reset them to the right height, and then done the alignment that way. That's the ideal way.
Yeah. So we're doing it right. We're doing it before everyone else.
Yeah, that's the problem. So we're doing it a little bit backwards here, but concept is the same. So.
Yeah, and then soon when everybody else, including people watching this video, sees this, they'll probably be able to do it in the right order and have all the parts available. Since you're just still developing them and they're just now getting off the production line,
right.
We have to do it this way.
Right. So yeah, Mike is essentially going to be one of the first people to install these lowering links on his car.
Yeah.
And the quality is just phenomenal. I mean, I know I'm a little bit biased, but
they're not plastic. I can tell you that.
They're not plastic.
The original equipment are plastic.
That's right. Now these are 6061 T6 aluminum. They're super strong, super light, and plated, and just really, really good quality. I know you'll love it.
Yep.
So what else? You want to talk about?
The towing. Yeah. Now this also plays a role in towing, because I also again asked, why do I need these just today? I was like, well, I can just leave it locked in very low. Like I said, we should. I can leave it locked in low, but you should be in very low to have the longest driveline life and the least amount of vibration or no vibration. But the problem is when you go to tow, you're either supposed to put it in tow mode, or it will lock into tow mode automatically, which it does with me because I tow the rated weight, which is 5,000 pounds with mine, and it knows something's back there and you can't get out of tow mode. So that does a couple things. It disables autopilot, of course. You don't want to use autopilot, but it also will fix the suspension in a normal height, and you cannot change it. And of course, we know that the normal height is too high. So if you want to prevent driveline wear, which is probably doubled when you're towing, I think, whenever you're doing towing, it's doubled. You want to keep it down in the low setting, so you've got to have these installed in order to fix it in the low setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you pretty much just said it all right there. Yeah, definitely getting your axles to be more at a straight angle is really the number one thing in preventing the CV joint wear. And that's that CV joint wear that causes the acceleration shudder problem. Mostly.
Yes. Well, it also, I mean, I'd say it does. Actually, even if they're brand new, I think if you accelerate hard, you won't notice it for the first couple of hard accelerations, but after that, it causes the wear so quickly that you will notice it. Because I know that when my car was brand new, it didn't do that. When my car had new axles, it didn't do it, but it quickly developed the vibration, slowly but surely.
And so then, even after your axles were worn down, from your experience, when you lower the car, does the acceleration shudder disappear?
Yes. It's. I mean, there's still going to be some slack in the driveline because the bearings are worn. That's going to be there. Don't mistake. I mean, this isn't. If you have bad axles, you've got to get them fixed. Okay, but this will prevent them from going bad if they're not bad yet.
Right.
So once you get this fixed on your car, you're going to want to get new axles put on your car once everything's done, including the lower links. I'm waiting to get these on, then I'll get them done. But I've done it on my X. I had a rental X within the last couple months that was abused like any other rental car, and it had a terrible shudder on the high, very high, and normal. All three settings, terrible shudder. But the minute I dropped down the low and even very low, for sure, it just went away, like it wasn't there. But there were probably some slack. I know there was some slack in the driveline. That's how you can tell that the bearings are shot in the axles, even on very low. But at least the vibration's not there on very low. And then your solution, of course. So you can even drive it, I wouldn't recommend driving on worn axles. You can drive it vibration free with your setting, with your fix, and these on the very low setting. And not wear your tires, not destroy your rear tires in the process.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about what is the sensation that you feel when you're driving that leads you to know that, I've got this acceleration shudder issue to begin with?
Well, okay, sometimes you can hear a noise, believe it or not. The acceleration is so bad. And it's because the angles are so severe that the end of the drive shaft, meaning the tire end, can't keep up with the speed of the drive shaft coming out of the motor. There's a difference in speed. That's what causes the vibration. So you notice it right away. I mean, and you have to floor it to really notice it. If you're a mild driver, like a grandma, granddad, somebody who just really doesn't like to have too much fun driving, let's say that, you may never notice it, okay? You have to get into that accelerator. I'm not to say that I'm an aggressive driver, because I'm not, but every once in a while I like to get into the accelerator. I don't like to have the experience of the front end feeling like it's going to vibrate in half and snap in half, because that's what it feels like. You know, and it's a very disconcerting feeling, and the fact that, you know, it's considered normal is also concerning to me. But now you have a fix, so that you know, that's where I'm focusing now, is on the fix for the problem.
Nice. Yeah. So the fix, the main thing that needs to happen is you need to reduce the angle between the wheel and essentially the transaxle, or whatever you would want to call that. And had Tesla started from scratch with the front wheel drive, they could have built it, they could have designed it in a way where there would have been a more straight angle to begin with. But since the front wheel drive part of the vehicle was kind of an afterthought that they came out with.
That's right, because based on the S, and the S evolved from an original rear only, right?
That's right. It was originally a rear wheel drive vehicle. So then they had to put the motor on top of, you know, the rack and pinion and other hardware there. So it naturally put the motor to the transaxle to the wheels at a steeper angle than what would have been ideal.
It's all geometry.
Yeah, and it's honestly not that complicated. So I mean, the thing is, you either have to drop the motor and transaxle down, which you can't do,
right,
or you have to bring the wheels up. But regardless, you've got to have those axles at a more straight angle, or you're going to have this problem. So what our solution does is lowers the vehicle a bit to keep those axles at a straight angle, and this helps to eliminate the premature wear that you would otherwise normally get by driving in standard mode.
Yeah.
That's basically the premise of how we do things. So some people say, well, you know, I don't really want to drive the car lowered, and I get that, but I think there's some benefits to it as well, because you get improved handling.
Yeah.
It's more agile.
Yeah. I've experienced that just because I used to drive it on normal all the time, or even a higher setting if I was driving low, because I didn't want to eat my rear tires up. That was the only way to not eat my rear tires up, is to do that. Mm-hmm. And now I'm lower. I definitely feel it's a better sensation. Unfortunately, as an SUV like this is classified, it reduces the ultimate ground clearance of the vehicle, and that's something that will have to be explored over time, because that is a loss for sure. I can't do that, because even if you do it a couple times, I think you will destroy those axles, as I've experienced, very quickly. So that's why these links are so important, because when you get these links on there, it's an insurance policy that no one's going to raise your suspension up to the point where it's going to eat through those those front axles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we offer the links along with the control arms as a kit to help to eliminate the premature axle wear and the acceleration shudder. So,
and I'll also say too, this is a little bit different point, is that in driving this now in the low setting with the new geometry in the back, with you're having it aligned. It was mostly aligned. It was a little bit off because you've got the special service tool now to get that fine tuning in there now. But I had almost the full experience, and I can tell you it feels better driving it normally. Now, who would not want this? I could tell you, well, someone who wanted the ultimate height on their car would not want this. Okay.
Right.
But you're going to eat through drive axles to pay for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then someone who wants to drive like a maniac through corners is not going to want this, because when you have that camber in the back, it will help you, but only in the most extreme cornering where you're about to crash. Okay, and most people don't drive like that. In fact, thankfully, almost no one drives like that. So this was not designed for the average driver. The average driver is just concerned about going in a straight line, taking a few corners, and getting the life out of their tires, and that's me. So I feel that on a normal corner, the car feels actually more secure. That's my experience with it, because I've got a bigger contact patch on that tire in the back. Because the only way you get a big contact patch from stock is if you're throwing it into a corner. Mm-hmm. Because then you're leaning the whole vehicle over, and it's going to take advantage of that negative camber. Mm-hmm. Under normal driving, you will never see that. So.
Right. Yeah, very good points.
Yeah, and see, what else can I say? That's about it, I guess. Yeah, so it feels better, tracks better. I'm very pleased.
Nice. Well, I appreciate it, Mike. You've been a great customer to work with, and it's been a good experience, and it's nice to be here with you installing these and getting it aligned.
I'll take care of it. Okay, and then thank you for developing these parts, because obviously it is an issue. It's a known issue. And it's been kind of mysterious, I'd say, up until this point in time, because I don't know if anyone ever thought it would be solved.
Right.
So thanks for taking the time to do this and develop a quality product.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Before we couldn't even reach into it at all.
Yeah, so it's a big improvement. He's able to do it without taking the rims off the car. That's what happened before. If you look at the previous, they had to take them off. Now they don't have to.
Have you installed other aftermarket lights on the SRX?
On the what up there?
Have you installed other aftermarket lights on the Model SRX?
No. Pretty much. So tightening it is not gonna be
All right, here's what the final alignment is. -1 on both sides, toe is green, and then front. It'll drive really nice now. And good tire, excellent tire wear, I'd say, in the back. See how the rims are straight. Look over at this side.
Great job. Really appreciate it. Oh, you
I think otherwise it was like, pretty good.